Love what you do. Gotta love it. If you don't love it, you're never gonna be happy. It's gonna be a job. You know what I mean? That's what it's gonna be. And this really isn't a job for me. It's way more than a job. Way, way more. Empathy, because it could be me sitting on the other side, you know? I had a stroke in 2006, and I struggled, you know, and I had to fight my way out of it. So I see that every day. You know, I see people who are just down on their luck a little bit, you know, and they just need help. You have to look at each person like it's you, like it's you looking for help. You can't look at them like they're somebody else other than yourself. You have to see yourself in every single person that walks in the door. And unless you do, you're not going to be really effective at what you do. And that's what I do. Every single person that walks in my door, I see myself. I think, how would I want to be treated if I was walking into somebody and looking at somebody, and most people don't want to ask for help. So it's hard. And I say, you're going to get over this. You know, this is just temporary. This is just a phase. This is a season. And you're going to get over it. It's like the best job that I've ever had in my I will work 2 jobs just so I can stay at this one job. I will work 5 jobs just so I can stay at this one job. And I have worked more than one job while I was working at this job just so I can stay here. It just makes me feel good. It makes me feel real good. I grew up in this community. This is where I've lived my entire life. And to help people, I don't know, it just feels great. Well, see, here's the thing. I don't think you should chase money. You have to find some passion in what you do. You have to find a passion. You have to love it. And because you're never going to be happy at what you do unless you love what you do.
Life is all about lessons. And as you go through life, you're going to learn. And I've always been a student of the School of Lifelong Learning. And every day it's important to learn something and take something away from wherever you're at, whether it's learning to cook something new or whether it's a technique that somebody had that helped them sell something or fill a void that somebody was needing. And being willing to learn and keeping your mind open is really important. My mentor was actually a gentleman, and he realized that early on I had the drive and the passion to do more than what I was doing. And he gave me the tools to progress, also gave me the ability to be a female in a male-dominated industry, and I knew that it was going to be hard and it was going to take a lot of energy and effort on my part to prove that as a 28-year-old female in agriculture, you could lead a group of men and make the business successful. It's important to give back to your community. I think that your community is where you live and reside, and everybody should want their community to be strong. And participating and being active is an important part of that. Giving back is important. Being a servant, helping others in need is all something that I've always done and continue to do and encourage others to do. Well, everything has been instant, and for us slightly older folks who have not always had the cell phone readily available or the access to the social media, sometimes you had to do it the hard way, and nothing is instant, and hard work is really what's going to make you and build your character as you go on through your life. And being willing to commit to something is important. And everybody, whether it's a fundraiser or your love for animals, everybody has an interest, and there's always a group out there that needs extra help, and just engaging and becoming involved is important. Take a stand and be willing to dedicate some time, energy, and effort, and know that a lot of times it's rewarding to you, although it may not seem like it is always rewarding. And you need to be willing to take a stand. And sometimes you have to take a stand or make a decision, and you learn later that it maybe wasn't the right decision, and you have to be willing to own that and say, you know what, I made a mistake. And that's key, to growth and leadership.
I was very fortunate that I had some phenomenal mentors. Two women when I worked in healthcare for almost 30 years were just great resources, really helped me develop those skills. I think it's because they would talk to me when I had a problem or a concern that I just wasn't sure how to answer, and it was a discussion. These are options. It wasn't, here's what you need to do. They would make suggestions, but ultimately I had to make a decision on what I was going to do. They were also there they were a good shoulder to cry on when I really screwed up, and everybody screws up at some point. I think it's a failure when you don't learn from what your mistake was and improve the next time you're faced with a similar situation. So they were that to me. My boss right now is an extremely creative and innovative individual, and he's always thinking about what we should be doing next, what we can bring into the agency to make it better. How do we round out what we can offer? He's allowed me to pretty much run the department, keep him informed if I have to, but he's let me grow within the role, and he's been very supportive. I think it flows. It changes based on where you work and what your expectations are of yourself and of those who you are reporting to or you are supervising. Some people have to be led to do everything. They're afraid to make a decision. Some of that may be a lack of self-confidence on their part. You hope you mentor them to become more self-confident in their own decision-making. It wears many hats. I don't think there's a single word that describes it. I've been successful because I've been allowed to make mistakes. And hopefully I've learned from those mistakes. And I've been allowed to be creative and to work closely with my clients and the other people in the agency. I think that life learning experiences go a long way to someone being successful regardless of what they choose to do.
I guess I just try to be me within the company. I'm more of I'm always an advocate, whether I'm at work or out in the community for women. I started Mercer County Women's Connect, which is a networking group for women. We just kind of get together twice a month and talk about anything professionally or personally that's on their mind. Just some mentorship and empowerment for women a couple times a month. It's one of those meetings that you actually want to go to. It's not one of the meetings you have to go to each month. I try not to focus on the negativity that can be created in competitive environments. I try to focus on the empowerment that can be created. So if you see a person that is competitive, maybe they just have a powerful spirit and they need to be led in a different way or maybe inspired by somebody else. What I would tell young people is to embrace and women of all ages, all generations, all backgrounds, and especially look to maybe some of the ladies that are established for inspiration and ask them questions and engage them because they're just a wealth of knowledge waiting for us. It's just a pool filled with amazing stories and wonderful backgrounds and pushing through the glass ceiling, and it's really something that we can be proud of as women, and I really think that they need to engage some of the folks that are established and not emerging, and not be afraid to talk to them, not be afraid to move forward and eventually move into that space that is the established leader from the emerging. It's so easy to become enveloped and what you're doing and making that the most important thing. And really, in the reality, we're all just one tiny cog in a giant moving experience that is life. And we really need to be, even though we're a small piece, that piece still needs to work to make that clock tick. So, really to look at yourself at both, that you are an individual, and that's absolutely wonderful, but also that you are a person in a large group that can really make a difference.
I love what I do. I love working with the VA. I've been there, did I tell you 5 years? Been there almost 5 years now. And I've done a lot of different things in my career, and that's probably one of the best places I've ever worked because I like the clients. I love my veterans. They're just overall wonderful. I honestly would say that money's not a priority, but we're more materialistic when we're younger. As we get older, we find out what's really important, and the material things don't really matter. So I would say love what you do first and foremost, because that's very important. Well, be true to yourself. To these young kids, you need to be very true to yourself. You need to remember your value system. You need to remember the difference, and I wrote the difference between healthy competition and backstabbing. And especially, we're talking women here. I see a lot, and I don't understand why women are so competitive with each other. And you shouldn't be. Women's job should help. Part of our job is to help other women succeed. And so you need to learn that. You need to be happy. Like I said, happy in your job. When we make mistakes, because we do make mistakes, learn from them. It's okay to make mistakes. I always tell my clients, God did not make a perfect human being, so why do you think you have to be? But it's more important that you learn from those mistakes. I always say laugh. You need to laugh. Laughter is so important in our lives, and we don't do that. Mentor. As you find a good mentor and pick their brains. I just had a conversation with one of my physicians, not yesterday, the day before. And I'm known to go in and say, okay, why is this? Why? And I'm like, I want to pick your brain. And so pick your mentor's brains. And then as you get the experience, mentor other women, because that's very, very important. I think back when I first started, actually when I was in high school, I started out, that's how I became a dietitian. I started out working at Sharon Regional, or Sharon General at the time, and I had two bosses. One was very, I don't know the term, one autocratic, and she told you everything, step by step by step, this is what you're gonna do. She was like flacking the whip over you. And then we had Miss Hughley, and I'm a horrible, horrible person to remember names. But I remember Miss Hughley because she was like, there it is, get it done. That, I think you have to trust. First of all, I think you have to know what you're doing. I see so much in management that really, and my son and I have these discussions all the time about how a lot of management, they've started here, they need to start at the bottom. And you need to understand what your employees are doing. And if you don't understand it, how can you actually lead them? So I think you have to have a basis. You have to start at the bottom and work your way up, although we don't want to do that, right? We want to start at the top. We want to start a 6-figure salary. It doesn't happen. So I think that's important. You need to be honest. You need to work really hard. I always go and say I need to be the best I can be, because that's my job. My job is to get people to learn how to change their lifestyle. I don't think about being a leader. I think about how am I going to get these people to change their lifestyle. That's what I think. That's how I go.